Welcome to Bandit's Keep Actual Play. I'm Daniel. We are continuing my solo original Dungeons & Dragons campaign using outdoor survival and chainmail, like they tell you to do in the original 3 books, and we're having a lot of fun here. Elaine's foxes have made it to their dungeon. This dungeon is actually 2 cave complexes, one filled with ogres and the other with orcs. Let's see where the party goes. Okay, Elaine's foxes have reached the dungeon. It is the 19th of January. They are about to delve in. Now, I did a little, as I mentioned before, when I'm doing these mapping things, I don't necessarily think of what's at the map location until they get there, which I'm trying to get better at. But in this case, the same thing happened. So after the fact, I sat down and said, what would have this much treasure? Because we have effectively this treasure map here, which is a whole lot of loot. And actually, what would have worked was orcs, interestingly enough. And when I did a basic orc lair, I came up with one that had some ogres and stuff in it, so I decided to make 2 separate spaces. I have an orc lair with about 170 orcs. At any one time, there's 85 in there. So that's basically, the rest are marauding and such. And then there's an ogre lair with up to 10 ogres in there. That's the total number of ogres in the lair. I'll just say any number of those could be in there at one time because I hadn't thought about that. So we've effectively got 2 places. They're both caves. And what we're going to do is I'm going to first start off by rolling. I'll just roll this. Let's roll this d6 to be classic. And if I get 1 through 3, they're going to enter the orc caves. If they get 4 through 6, they're going to enter the ogre caves. 6. Okay. So they're not really sure what's what. So they're actually going to enter into the caves that have ogres in it. That could be good or bad, right? So going back over how we do this, if you haven't watched one of these before, I have this sheet here, which effectively has all of the characters' basic stats written on there. So it makes it easy for me to just kind of go through and, you see that, right? It makes it easy for me to go through and kind of just like adventure with them. If we get deeper into gear and stuff, I'll have to check the character sheets, which I have here if we need them. But basically I have everything relevant that I need. I have their armor class, I have their movement, I have what spells they've memorized. And on the back here, I'll keep track of any monsters they encounter, any monsters they encounter, any treasure they have, the marching order, and who has what light source. So to track the light, I'm going to use my time tracker, which I've used before. So nice and simple. They're going to go into this dungeon, and we will track each day, each minute, everything until we get in there. So how are we going to do this? Well, I'm going to use geomorphs. If you haven't seen these before, these are from, I think, pack 2 of the original Dungeon geomorphs. I just printed them again, so I cut up the originals. And basically, the way geomorphs work is you just kind of stick them together, and they form dungeons. I'm going to add them randomly as we go through until basically they get far enough that I think is justified for an orcs or ogre's lair, as it would be. Probably in the ogre's lair will be like maybe 3 of these or something like that, and the orc's lair will be much bigger. But I'm going to lay all this out, and then we'll start. Actually, before I do that, I was about to, let me just go over this quickly. Before I do that, what I did was I took all the treasure, I broke it up between the 2 layers, I broke it down into a d6 chart. I also made a random encounter chart because the orcs and ogres are aligned. 1 through 4 is d4 ogres. A 5 is just orcs in there for whatever reason. A 6 is ogres and orcs. If they go into the orc lair, it's kind of the opposite. Just orcs, ogre, and then ogres and orcs. I put the magic items on the orcs side because I think that makes more sense, but the ogre side has some pretty decent loot as well. So let's get to it. Okay, so I'm all set up. Again, I'm going to use the 3rd book in OD&D to stock the dungeon. Effectively, what it says is every room you enter, you roll a d6. On a 1 or a 2, there's a monster. If there's a monster, then you roll again. On a roll of 1 through 3, that monster has treasure. If there's no monster, you roll a d6. If you get a 1, there's just unguarded treasure. And there's some charts and stuff for all the stuff in the book that we'll use as we go. So that's basically how I'm going to fill this thing up. I'm also going to roll every 2 turns for a wandering monster. And I'll use that, I'll just use the same random monster list for that. So the way I like to do this when I'm running games for other people, and I'll do it here too, is I have my little list here with random encounters. And since we roll every 2 turns, each one of these makes up an hour. So I'm just going to roll the first 3 of them. So on turn 2, there is a random encounter. And what we'll do is we're going to determine what it is when it happens. But I'm just going to make a note here. Let's put a line there. Then, of course, on turn 3, there's not. So on turn 4, there is a random encounter. Wow, a lot of random encounters in here. And then there's not one on 5. And then on 6, there's not. Okay. So that way you kind of know what's going on here. The second thing I'm going to do is if I look at my sheet here, I have, so I'm just prepping for myself. I have a torch by character C and a lantern by character F. So up here, where it says torch, I'm going to put a C, lantern, F. That way I know who has them, and I'll just track them as we go turn by turn to see what happens. There's 2 entrances here. 1, 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll randomly because they all look the same to the adventurers, right? So we'll roll randomly, low or high. High. Okay, so they're going to enter into this long hallway here. So I've got my marching order. Basically, we've got a couple of clerics up front. The way I do this, by the way, okay, is I do them side by side like this. Normally in a 10-foot corridor, it's like these 2 are in the first rank, second rank, third rank. That's basically how I do it. But if they need to get narrow, that's why I do them like this. So basically, they're always going to go 2 by 2 if they can, which they're going to at the beginning. All right, here we go. We come into the dungeon. So the way we do movement in OD&D is if they are, you can basically have 2 moves per turn, which is 10 minutes. The slowest people here are 6 inches, so I'm going to be able to move 12 inches or 12 squares per turn. So for the turn number 1, I'm going to be able to just move up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we come to this entryway here where we can look left and right. Since there's no room there, they have to now decide, what do we want to do? I think they can, assuming how torchlight works, they can probably see this is about to open up into a cavern. And, adventurers don't like to leave stuff behind them. So I think they'll dodge this way and go 9, 10. And again, they can see this looks like it's going to open up. And I think they're going to go up here, 11, 12. So they're going to stop here looking into this room. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to roll to see what's in the room. Because if there is a monster in there, there's a potential for surprise and everything else, even though we're still in our first turn. And we know next turn, a wandering monster is going to appear. So let's see what we get. 3. Okay, there's no monster in this room. Is there treasure? No. Okay, so the room's basically empty. So they're looking in there with their lanterns. They kind of move in to investigate the room, obviously, because they can't see the whole room. So I'm going to say turn 2, they're going to spend in this room investigating. And then whatever kind of wandering monster that we encounter is going to come into this room. So let's do a couple of things. Look at my list here. This is bad for the party if it's something tough because they're basically cornered. Oh, I'm going to roll a d6 to see what kind of random monster it is. 6. Oh god. 1 ogre plus 2 to 16 orcs. This could be very bad for the party right off the bat. 2 and 5 is 7. So 1 ogre, 7 orcs. Now I'm going to make a little note to myself. 1 ogre, 7 orcs. Okay. So there are 1 ogre and 7 orcs. That's a fairly decent troop, but the party's using light. I always assume, even though the monsters can see in the dark, that if they're in their lairs, they probably are using some kind of light form, maybe. So, but they're also a decently large group, so I'm going to make surprise basically equal chance for both groups. Sometimes you want to modify the surprise based on situation, but no. So is the party surprised? I'm going to roll a d6 on a 1 or a 2 they are. 3 they are not. Does the party hear the footsteps and surprise them? They do. Okay, this is good. The party has a surprise round. They basically get against the wall real tight. Maybe there were already some torches burning in here or something so that it doesn't look weird. There's light in here. Or they quickly extinguish or turn the lantern down real low with shuttering it or whatever. The torch guy gets in the corner. The orcs and ogres enter into the room and the party's going to get a free round of attacks and other things against them. This is very good and very, very useful to them. Well, nobody wants to, the worst thing you can do is be a magic user and die with the spell still in your, in your mind, right? So the magic user is not taking any risks. They're going to cast spells. I have one of them as sleep, the other one as charm person. They kind of look at each other to see what they should do. And I'm just going to quickly look at sleep. I know sleep's pretty powerful. It'll probably take the orcs out, but I'm wondering if it'll take the ogre out as well. Sleep in OD&D, just like many things in OD&D, you need to look at it. You can't go by what you think you remember. Sleep spell effects from... Now, by the way, you'll notice it doesn't say or here. Sleep spell effects from 2 to 16 first level types, that would be the orcs. 2 to 12 second level types. 1 to 6 third. Okay, and then it says or 1 fourth level type. Okay, so basically what we have here is if they cast it on the ogre, they're going to be able to take it out because there's no saving throw for sleep, but they won't take out the orcs. So I think that because this could go really well for them if they do this and really bad if not, and I love to take a good chance, I think the magic user is going to cast the sleep spell on the orcs and not on the ogre. And the other magic user, thinking this could be perfect, is going to cast the charm person on the ogre. Okay, so what we need to do is 2 to 16 of the orcs will go down. 5, 6. Okay, more than... Okay, so all the orcs go to sleep. And now the way that my system works, because I don't use conventional saving throws, is it's based on the type they are. Our orc is a heroic type. That means he's going to have to roll... On 2d6, he's going to have to roll a 9 or better to save. Otherwise, the charm person takes effect on the ogre. 5, 4. Okay, 9. They passed their save, so the spell is not effective. Because they were going to do a charm person, I'm going to say that nobody attacked the ogre because that'd be silly to attack it while it was being charmed. So there ends the first round of combat. Obviously, they also had time, so the magic users, you know, everybody got in front of the magic users, so they couldn't now get attacked. So what we've got here is we've got a bit of a line. Our 2 magic users, Jean and Lesh, have stepped back, right? Well, they didn't move because you can't move and cast spells. But then in making a line in front of them are our fighters. We have actually a fighter and 3 clerics, I believe. Yeah, cleric. I'm not going to use minis for this, but I don't know. If it makes it easier in the future, maybe we'll use minis. Let me know what you think. I'm just going to kind of draw out what we're going to do, because in the end, it's one bad guy attacking. They're just going to surround him. So we've got the ogre, and you know we've got the fighters and the clerics, cleric, fighter. They have all run up to the ogre while it was being charmed. Clearly, the spell does not work, and the ogre's like, whoa! And combat's about to begin. Now, since they're already on the ogre, and they're basically going to be in melee at the beginning of the turn, movement doesn't really matter. The ogre's not running. It's going to want to fight. So none of the movement matters, which means, to be honest, initiative doesn't even matter. Because the fighters did move up, though, they're not going to be able to use any missile weapons, because now everybody's in a melee combat, which works as follows. Now, I know that I forgot to bring I have my booklet where I run my game I didn't have with me, so we're just going to use Chainmail. So basically what we're going to do here is an ogre, okay, trolls and ogres. So their fight in formation, have melee combat of 6 heavy foot. Trolls and ogres see in the darkness, so they're heavy foot. So I don't do 6 because I do 4 because that's what OD&D does. So basically ogres are heavy foot. They count as 4 heavy foot. Now the way that works is basically that's almost like hit points, right? So our ogre is going to have their equivalent of 4 people. They're going to both attack and defend that way. But let's do all the party's attacks first to show you how this works. The cleric, first cleric, he has a mace, which is heavy foot. So if we look at Chainmail, heavy foot, which is the mace, against heavy foot, 1 die per man, 6 kills. The other cleric is using a flail, which is also heavy foot. The fighter is using, one fighter is using a hand axe, which is only light foot. So if we look at this, light foot versus heavy foot, 1 die per 2 men. So we actually can't even, the one fighter is basically useless. And this fighter here also has heavy foot. Okay, so we've got 3 clerics. Each of them is fighting as heavy foot. So basically I'm going to roll 3d6. And if I roll any of the 6s, we'll count as effectively a hit and remove 1 of the ogre's men. 5, nothing. 3, nothing. 4, nothing. Okay, I'm just going to do this so I can look at it like hit points. All right, so unfortunately they did nothing. Now on the other end, the ogre is also heavy foot. They're attacking our fighters, who I guess that halfling probably wouldn't have moved up, but he did. I said he did. who are basically, 2 of them are armored foot and 2 are heavy foot. I always go after the most armored people first, as far as, because that's how they form themselves. And since in this system you can protect other people, the people with the heavy armor always get in front if they're given the chance. So basically, if we look at the ogre, heavy foot versus armored foot, 1 die per 2 men with 6 killing. So basically, since they're the equivalent of 4, they get to roll 2 dice, but any 6s they get will kill a PC. They rolled a 5, so that's a miss, and a 1, nothing. Okay, first round of combat goes by, nobody went down, but except for the orcs, of course. At this point, this halfling, knowing that they can't really do anything, the halfling fighter is going to move around the combat and basically kill the downed orcs while they're asleep, just in case something else happens. It won't, but that's what they would do cleverly. And actually, let's make a roll. Orcs generally use weapons because the halfling may pick up a weapon that's more useful to him. So I'm going to take a quick look in Monster and Treasure, and I'm going to see how the orcs are armed. Okay, it doesn't say, but it does say somewhere else, which I cannot find right this second, that they basically are armed like men. So if I just look at the men, I can basically say, we'll say bandits would be a good option. Okay, so bandits are, okay, so they're not going to have crossbows. I don't really see orcs using that. So we're going to check. All right, it looks like that they would have, so I'm just going to roll a d6. Since we don't have an exact number, I don't see orcs running around with daggers, so we're going to assume they have either spears or swords. 1 through 3 will be a spear, 4 through 6 will be a sword. Okay, they have swords. The halfling's going to run up, take down one of the orcs, and take their sword. That's all they're going to do during the movement phase. And then we're going to do another round of regular combat. Okay, party's attacking, 1-6. Nothing. Nothing. Okay, they've hurt the ogre. The ogre, it took basically damage here. Some creatures require simultaneous hits, ogres do not. So it can be worked down. Now, same deal. The ogre's going to attack again. 2, nothing. 2, nothing. Okay, round 2 goes by. The ogre is injured. The halfling has picked up a better weapon now, so they can actually add to the combat. And the magic users, again, really can't do much. They're going to take over cutting down the orcs that are asleep. Okay, so next round. Nobody's moving, so we're going to keep rolling. So party, now there's 4 of them, and actually the halfling, because they're a fighter, get +1 on their roll, so I'll do it first. So a 5 or 6 will kill. No, halfling does nothing. Cleric, oh, yep. Nothing. 1 more. Nothing. Okay. Ogre still gets to attack. Even though they've taken damage, they're still the equivalent of 4. So they still get 2 dice. All they need is 1-6 to kill somebody, which they have not scored yet. Okay, next round. Again, same thing's going to happen. PCs are fighting. 6 for the cleric. I didn't say it was the halfling, so this will be the halfling. 3. Misses. Misses. Come on, 1 more 6. Nothing. Okay. The ogre is on its last legs. I'm going to roll morale next round, but they do kind of have it surrounded. But I'm still going to do that. And before I do that, though, the ogre gets to attack. If he doesn't take anybody out, he's probably going to run. Oh, he took somebody out. All right, I'm going to roll a d4 to see who it was. The party's losing a member already. It was risky to try to charm the ogre. They probably should have taken it down. Okay, so the second character in line, so this guy right here, it's one of the armored, it has to be one of the armored guys. So it's the first armored guy that works out the same. All right, Nargor, B, unfortunately you went down, and I think that might have been the guy with the torch. No, it wasn't. He wasn't carrying a torch, so he doesn't affect anything. All right, unfortunately, he goes down. That reinvigorates the ogre, and he's going to stay for 1 more round of combat. So, halfling, 5 + 1 is 6. Halfling gets through the line, stabs through the ogre, and takes it down. The ogre falls to the ground dead. They quickly run over to their compadre there, the cleric, and find that he also has fallen. Well, that's unfortunate. So, 7 orcs, 1 ogre. Okay, so before I deal with the dead bodies and stuff, the way that I'm doing the treasure here is all the orcs, because the orcs have a lot of treasure, all the orcs have 100 gold pieces apiece, so that's, I know it sounds like a lot, but there's a lot of gold here. So they've got 700 gold pieces from the orcs. And the ogre, I'm going to roll basically a d10, and if it's 1 through 6, it'll be one of these treasures. 2. 2 is a gem worth 100 gold pieces. All right. Now, unfortunately, they have caused a bit of a ruckus here, so I'm going to actually make another roll for a wandering monster to see if anybody heard what was going on. So this will just be on a 1. No, okay. They kind of collect themselves. They're pretty close to the entrance, and if they leave the body of their friend here, first of all, that's kind of bad. And also, it'll be found. So what they're actually going to do is grab the body of their friend, and they're going to drag them out, because I feel like that just makes sense. And it kind of actually works out for us, because that's going to take the rest of this turn. And then when they come back in, the next turn, turn 4, would be a turn where they'd be a wandering monster. Because they're not going to like sit outside for a long time. They've got a camp follower. They're basically going to bring the body out to the camp follower and be like, take them, away. We got to get back in before they realize we've been here. Because again, once you've started raiding a dungeon, especially the last dungeon we did was all undead. Like, who cares if the skeletons are crushed, right? But orcs are going to notice their friends missing. Or ogres are going to notice their friends missing, rather. So they run back in on round 4, or turn 4, rather, and that actually makes sense, because we're going to say that at that point, there's a guard or something. Well, let's make a roll. I'm going to say 1 or 2, a alarm has been called. No, okay. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to roll a d6. If it's a 1 through 3, the wandering monster is going to be in this hallway. If it's a 4, 5, or 6, it's actually going to be outside. 5, okay. It actually happens outside, which is kind of good in a way for the players, because that means that the camp follower will actually come with them. He'll be part of it, which is good, because that's a fighter, and he's also armored, so that's going to be good for the group. Let me push it up so you guys can see. So what do we run into outside? Wow, this is kind of turning into a quick comeback. Oh, 1 ogre is dead, so there's only 9 left. And they lost 7 orcs. Actually, I won't count those out of the ones from the other place, because we'll say some of the orcs are around. All right, rolling a d6. What do they see outside? They may have to run if it's 5. Oh, 5 are just orcs. Okay, so apparently orcs, as they're dragging the body out there, they come across some orcs. Now, I'm going to roll to see how many. 3, 6, 9 orcs. Okay. There's 9 orcs. You can still evade stuff, as we do a lot with the thing, but I think at this point there's 6 of them. They're not going to run from 9 orcs at this point. They kind of feel like they're going to need to fight. Now, if we can surprise them, that will be really good. We do not. Do they surprise us because we're occupied? They do. Oh no, okay. So the party is dealing with the cleric trying to get back inside. They're like, we gotta get back in quick. And the orcs actually come charging at them and are going to get a full round of attacks on the party before they... So what I'm going to do here is, at this point, they haven't formed up into any kind of protective barrier. So I'm just going to roll randomly to see who gets attacked, and then we'll deal with it from there. So this is going to require me knowing a few different numbers. Effectively, though, I believe that every orc is just going to roll 1 die. I'm going to go back and look at Chainmail, because a couple of our magic users are only light foot. So if we... Heavy foot versus light, a 5 or 6 kills. So we're always going to roll a d6. It just depends on who it's targeting. Let me do another quick thing here. Are orcs 1+1 or are they 1? Orcs are 1 hit die. Okay. The other thing is, against armored foot, as we've learned before, they need 1 die per 2 men, which means a single orc cannot actually hurt somebody in armor. I'm going to say that orcs are battle ready. They know that. So if I roll an attack against an armored person, I'm going to count that as 2 orcs teaming up. So let's just do this. And number 1, we'll see. Let me get another die. Okay, in order to make this a little bit faster for me and more organized, I have 2 dice. I have my little ducky die here again, and the regular die we're using. So the first die will be who they're attacking. The second die will be the attack roll, and then we'll figure it out from there. And there's 6 orcs attacking. No, there's 9 orcs attacking, so I'm just going to do this so I stay organized. Orc number 1 attacks number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is somebody in armored foot. So that's going to actually be 2 orcs that attack them, but they do not hit. Okay, so that was 8 and 9. Next attack, they're going after 2. 1, 2, which is a Lightfoot person, but they still don't hit, so that's good because they need a 5 or 6 to hit them. Next orc, they're going after number 3. That's going to be a hit probably. 1, 2, 3. Heavyfoot versus Heavyfoot, a 6 hits. This is our Hobbit. Now, he's basically going to be dead unless fighters get basically what is effectively a saving throw. If he rolls a 1, he's up. He's not. Okay. Oh no, the Hobbit. Hobbit goes down. Okay, next orc. Wow, orcs are tough, huh? 3. 1, 2, 3. That would have been the same guy, so he's dead anyways. This is all simultaneous, so I'm not. 4, which is him. He's Lightfoot with a 5. He's also dead. Oh my god. Okay. They may have to. It was going so well for them. Surprise is tough, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Armored foots, that'll count as 2, and they didn't hit anybody. When you can form yourselves up for a defensive line, you're much better off. Oh no, 4 is going to go down. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's already down, so that's fine. 2 more guys. Number 2, and it's a 5. 1, 2. Lightfoot. That's enough to take him down. Oh, I guess this is the end of this. This party's going to have to... They're getting routed by these orcs. 4, who's we already know is already dead. Okay, that is unfortunate. However, oh no, it's a surprise round, so the party doesn't even get to attack back. Now at this point, there being 9 orcs, they're not going to let the party just run. And some of these guys are an armored foot, which is going to be slower than orcs. So unfortunately, I think they're just going to have to fight. So we're just going to go into it and hope for the best. This could be the end of this party. We might see a group die right away. Either way, I think they're basically going to have to retreat after this. Luckily, they haven't been in the field very long. So, I mean, worst case scenario, they're going to go back with a little bit of gold. But, whoosh, not very good. All right, so again, I'm just going to roll the party first because it's easier. They're attacking orcs who are Heavyfoot, I believe. So just like the ogre. Yeah, orcs are Heavyfoot. Okay, so Heavyfoot versus Heavyfoot. 1 die, a 6 kills. No. Heavyfoot versus Heavyfoot. 1 die, a 6 kills. No. Heavyfoot versus Heavyfoot. 1 die, 6 kills. No. All right. There are 9 orcs. Oh my god. This could be very bad for this party. They might have to actually run. I don't think they're going to make it, but they may have to try to retreat. I don't think they can at this point, though, because their orc speed is... It might be worthwhile for them to surrender, but who knows? Ooh, orcs are 9 inches. Yeah, everybody's at least that slow. So yeah, we're fighting to the end here. Shouldn't have wasted that sleep spell. All right. First orc attacking. I'm going to do... We're going to do the same thing as before, except... Okay, only this guy's Heavyfoot. So I'm going to... But the D6 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, here we go. Same deal. Who they attack and the roll. Okay. Misses. Oh, okay. 6. This cleric goes down. Okay, he's going to go down as well, but he's... but at least he eats up 2 people. Same guy, misses. Same guy, misses. So again, that's the second guy. That's the first guy, but he's already dead. Oh no, 5 doesn't kill him, and it takes 2. Okay, so in the end, we've got 1 guy left. His movement is only 6 inches. And, oh, he's a hobbit, actually. Huh. I didn't realize he was also a hobbit. Well, he's by himself against this. So, you know what he's going to do? I don't think he doesn't really have much to offer. But they have slaughtered his friend. I think he's going to run. So, because it specifically calls out that hobbits are really good at hiding and evading, so I think what I'm going to do is allow for him to use the evasion rules that we normally use here. So, let's see what we got here. He is only 6 inches, though, and they are 9 inches. So they're faster than him, but not twice as fast. So actually, there are evasion rules for in-dungeon as well. Actually, let's take a look at that. Okay, so basically, for the in-dungeon evasion rules, they'll continue to follow unless they get a distance spread of 90 feet, which isn't going to happen here, obviously. But it does say that if you go through a door around a corner, there's only 1 in 2 chance of them following you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the evasion using the outdoor evasion, and if successful, they'll continue to chase him until if I get a 1 or a 2. So let's do that first. So I'm going to call this the middle 26 to 60%, because that's where they're at. There's only one guy, so he does have a 70% chance of evading them. So if he can evade them, I'm going to then roll a d6. And on a 1 or a 2, they're still following him, and he's going to have to run again, and we should keep track of that. So let's do the first round of evasion. Oh no, 95. He does not evade them, which means I'm going to allow them to make an attack on him because he does not get away. Oh, buddy, you tried to run, but it may not work out for you. So effectively, I don't need to do this because it's going to take 2 of them each time to attack him, which means that they get 4 attacks. So they're going to get 4 attacks against him, and if any of them are a 6, he's down. No. 6. Okay. He is a fighter, so he gets a saving throw. If he rolls a 1 here, he's not dead. He's just down. Oh, yes. Okay. They swing at him. They think they hit him, and he ducks underneath. He's actually up. He's going to try to evade again. God, is this hobbit going to make it? 70% chance. 13. Yes. Okay. On a roll of 1 or a 2, they're following him. Otherwise, he's escaped. 2, they're following him. Oh, no. Okay, so he's got to roll again. So that was 1 round of evasion, because I'm going to have to roll to see where he is. Okay, he gets away. Are they following him? Because he may run out of food and stuff. Oh my God, they are, yes. Okay. Can he evade him again? No, he doesn't evade him then. They're going to get attacks against him. You imagine this hobbit's like running around through the field evading these orcs, you know. They're just like, there he is! And they're like throwing spears at him and such. No. No. Okay, they don't hit him either time. He's going to try to evade again. Oh my God, I'm rolling so high. Unable to evade. Miss. Miss. Okay, can he evade them? Oh my God, another 90. No, he cannot. Miss. Halfling luck is holding up. Can he evade them? 75, no. Nope, they're attacking him again every time I do this. Oh my God. Halfling luck. Oh my God, another 90. Oh God. This dice hates me. Okay. This is it, Frodo. You gotta do this. His name's not Frodo, but his name is Kerman. 81. Unable to avoid the orcs. These orcs are gonna have this halfling if they can. That was a 2, so that doesn't hit anything. Okay. Okay. Can he avoid them? 27. Okay, here we go. Now, roll low. Roll low. 1 or a 2, I mean, high rather. They don't follow him. Oh my God. Okay, they're following him again. Which means that they get an attack. No, he evaded him, so it's the next day, so he gets to try to avoid them again. Well, not the next day, but the next turn. He does not evade them. Nope. I feel like this guy's going to die. This is that thing where he's going to go through all of this and then probably get stabbed in the end. Oh my God, I just rolled another 100. Nope. Nope. Okay, 53. He evaded him. So again, 1 or 2, they follow, otherwise he's free. 5. Okay. Whew. All right, so let's do a little recap there. Oh my God. All right, so our 1 halfling has managed to evade the orcs. Now, this halfling was not with the group when they went inside, which means he does not have any of the treasure. But he's basically out there in the wilderness by himself with just what he's got on him, so his rations and stuff, which I think they had enough to... I had miscalculated when I did this before. I think they actually have... Yeah, they got like 2 weeks worth of it. They have a ton of rations left. Okay, so I think what we got to do here is he's going to go back. It sucks. He didn't get any treasure, and the patron is not going to be happy about this. But there's no way he could possibly get in there by himself and get any more treasure. It would be absolutely a fool's errand to try to make it his way in after all that. So, unfortunately, they've discovered that there is quite a bit of treasure there, but they just weren't able to take it out. And they're going to have to, well, who knows what's going to happen. Maybe he'll join back up with the other group that was unsuccessful, and together they might get a good haul at some point. I guess we'll find out next time.